With me in the studio is Steve Bunce, as always. Lovely to see you.
Likewise, early.
And replacing Mike Costello for one night only, possibly, or maybe more, is Duke McKenzie, former world champion. How are you?
Good evening. Very well, thank you.
Nice to see you. Let's do a quick fire round. Steve, Hay or Harrison?
Hay or Harrison, fantastic night. I just fancy Hay after a much better fight than anybody's given it credit for.
And Duke, for you, Klitschko or Chisora?
Well, I mean, it's a massive ask of Chisora. He does have a puncher's chance, but you got to go with the champion.
Yeah, well, it's a good thing you sat on the fence, Duke, because he's on the line to us now. How are you, Derek?
How are you? You alright?
Yeah, very well, thank you. You got a puncher's chance, is what Duke reckons.
When I win the world title, he's definitely not going to get an interview with me, definitely 100%.
But, I mean, it's a big step for you, isn't it? I mean, after 14 pro fights, your 15th is a world title attempt. I mean, what are the odds of that happening?
Since you're an amateur, it's to train to get to this time, where I'm at, to get this shot to the titles, he's got. And it is a big step for me, I was in the gym right now worried as hell, like, sorry to swear, just worried, frying my head saying, how am I going to come through this? But I'm going to bite through my gum shield and go through it and come out with the victory, basically.
Now, Derek, you were out there last week watching Vlad's big brother, older brother, Vitaly, take apart Shannon Briggs. Now, they're two different fighters, Vitaly and Vladimir, but did you pick up some things when you're out there? Did you notice things at ringside that you think will help you when you go out there?
Nothing I picked up is going to help me. I'm going to help myself when I'm in the ring. Mm-hmm. That's how I see it. Outside the ring, no one's going to help me. I'm just going to help myself. I'm going to do the game plan we got and follow through, and then come out with a victory.
For people who don't know this, Derek, we need to backtrack a little bit, and you better tell us how this fight actually came about.
This fight came about after we boxed in Birmingham. 3 days later, Frank Warren calls me, goes, I had an offer from the big brothers, from the brothers in Germany. I was like, oh, you know what, take the fight. And I thought I was going to be boxing the older brother, and then he told me I was boxing the younger brother, so I was more excited.
Well, I wonder if you'd like to hear what Vladimir Klitschko's had to say about you this morning. Just hold on the line. This is what he's said about you.
I choose Derek Chisora because of his record. He is undefeated, and that's very important. He won impressively his last fight in September, and that's what made me to step in and propose to fight me. Without hesitation, he took the fight, and we got the signed contract right away. I see a lot of confidence of Derek Chisora that he showed at both press conferences. I mean, he's overconfidently, but it's also good, and that's what I love about this man. Not just his fighting record, but also that he's challenging me already, and I believe that he is going not to lose his confidence when he's going to be in the ring, and he's going to perform as he's performing at the press conference.
You say you like his confidence, you like his will and determination, but there's a golfing experience, and many people would say a golfing class. How competitive a contest do you expect this to be?
And that's what makes sport exciting. You have underdog, and in any competition, soccer game or anything like that, boxing as well. And there's a lot of question marks. Can they do it? Can he do it? Can he take punch? We don't know. Can he go in a very rough fight through the 12 rounds? Nobody knows. So that's going to be the most exciting thing of the fight, because that's what makes the boxing fans look to this fight, and also because of the history. There was Leon Spinks fighting with Muhammad Ali, and he had only 8 fights, nothing, and he beat Muhammad Ali. So I would say that this fight and this opponent is exactly what we need in boxing. He's fresh blood, he's willing to fight, he's determined, and this is fantastic.
So just briefly then, just tell us how you see this fight against Chisora going and the outcome of the contest. Give us a summary.
Well, I'm expecting a lot of challenge. Eventually I will knock out Derek Chisora, and he will give everything what he can do, and he can do a lot. He's very, very fast on his feet, and he's very fast with his arms, and I believe that I'm going to have a lot of fun in the ring, especially the audience and the boxing fans will have a lot of fun watching this fight.
Well, that was Vladimir Klitschko. Derek, he's giving you quite a lot of respect, but he says he is going to knock you out.
Yeah, he's been doing that since. That's his mind game, and giving always opponents respect. Like I do respect the guy, but I respect him at least 10% of our 100. But his boxing ability, he's only got one good thing anyway, and that's the jab, and that's what we're going to take away from him. Without the jab, he can't fight.
Derek, do you think that after just a handful of fights, you have the experience to take this guy down the line? When it gets after maybe 7, 8, 9 rounds, it's a hard fight. You're going to have to dig in really, really deep. Do you think then you will have the experience after just these few fights to actually cause what would be a massive upset?
People say loads of experience, but I don't believe in experience. I just believe, this guy, had so many fights, I had less fights, but the same thing, we love the same sport, boxing. He's chucking punches, I'm chucking punches. How is he going to chuck his punches? I know he's going to chuck them in a straight line. I come from different angles. So that's my experience I'm going to bring to his table. For my sparring partners, I'm using amateurs because he's got the same amateur style they use right now in Olympics.
That's quite a sensible idea, using stand-up straight amateur. The one thing that he does so well, if you look at his reigns as world champion, and certainly his last 2 or 3 years, last 5 or so fights, going back 2 years, Derek, is he doesn't commit. He doesn't step over his front foot. He's comfortable and happy. He wins these fights in the 11th, the 12th and the 10th round with absolutely no action in the intervening rounds. That's what he does. And I think Duke's absolutely right to ask that question. Are you patient enough to wait 5 or 6 or 7 rounds before the openings come?
No, as I said already, I said you weren't at box Sam Sex, and I said I'm going to box on my pace. I am fit enough to go for 12 rounds. Okay. I will push him and push him and push him until he crumbles. I want to drown this guy because he hasn't been tested yet.
He hasn't been pushed. He hasn't been pushed since he underestimated people and got knocked out. There's no one denies that, Derek. And I think if you can go out there, if you can find just a little bit more stamina and put some extra sessions in, you put this guy under pressure, because none of the Americans who fall over like they've been hit by a sniper after 10 rounds, none of them have tried. So you're going to get top marks just for trying, Derek.
Yeah, I'm not looking to get 12 marks for us for trying. I want to come out there with victory. So I'm going there looking for victory, because right now, people are writing me off saying I'm not going to win, I'm not going to last the 4th round. And I should correct you, he did not choose the fight.
Yeah.
Good point. How are you going to prepare for this, Derek? Where are you going to build up for it?
I'm going to Glasgow on the other side of Scotland, basically.
Okay. Now, one other thing, Ellie, if I can just interject here, Derek. If I'm not mistaken, if you beat Vladimir, you've got to go back and fight Vitali, and if you beat Vitali, you've got to box one of them again. Is that right? Is it 3 fights in Germany, Derek?
Yes, and we're going to do a treble on them.
Do a treble on them.
Yeah, well, that's they've got you well tied in. I should ask you, Derek. I'm reading this evening that you might have a bit of an appearance in court coming up as well. That you've got to be sentenced for something that you've pleaded guilty for. Is that correct? Do you want to just give us what's happened with that?
I'll let you get in touch with my lawyer now, basically. Anyway.
Right, but you're not worried that anything is likely to come in the way of you turning up.
To be honest, we haven't got anything to say on that situation.
Okay, but I think it's fair to say that there will be a sentencing hearing coming up just a few weeks beforehand. But you're confident that you're going to be free to fight.
I haven't got anything to say on that situation.
Okay, that's fair enough. But obviously you're confident. Vitali thinks that he can beat you, or Vladimir thinks that he can beat you. Presumably, if he didn't think he could beat you, he wouldn't have offered to fight you.
No, you see, the problem with these guys is, they always get the Americans to come in last 12 rounds, and then the Americans get paid, like when we're up in there watching his brother, when he was boxing Shannon Briggs, I actually, got up and say, Shannon Briggs, chuck a right hand over the top, and he chucked one.
And he landed.
And he landed, and that was it.
He ran away then for 2 rounds.
Yeah, and then after that, he didn't do nothing.
Yeah, that's right.
And then on top of that, I was having in a bar after the fight, and I told the TV presenter of the guy who owns LTO, the TV.
Yeah.
He started going to me. He was worried, saying, we want you to do this and this and this. I was like, no, I'm here to win. I'm not here to lay down before your boy. I was like, you know what? After this fight, you need to start investing in some younger fighters because I'm going to take all the titles and you're not going to be left with nobody to entertain no more. You know, but, you know, it's German TV, what can I say? But I'm just looking forward to the fight, to be honest with you.
Another good thing, I suppose, Derek, for you is that being unbeaten, you know, as you are going into this fight, you're going to be full of confidence, which is a great plus. And again, you know, I've just got to go back to that point. You know, when you are an unbeaten fight and you're going into a championship fight, you know, you get to maybe the 7th round, the 8th round, the 9th round, and then you start looking at the clock and you say to yourself, you know, I've only got another 3 rounds to go. Bearing in mind, again, you're going to be away from home. Is that going to make you fight harder, Derek? Knowing that you could possibly, you know, be ahead in your own mind, but not get a decision in the Klitschko's backyard?
Listen, to be honest with you, I always thought, even when I'm at home, I don't get the decision if he goes to the 12 rounds, to be honest with you. So I'm always looking to put more pressure, and get the punch I'm looking for, because I know I'm going to land the punch, and when I land it, I'm just going to jump on him straight away.
Well, I mean, we wish you all the luck in the world, of course. I mean, if you were to win this fight, Derek, I mean, how do you think it would change your life, and what would it do for British boxing as well? You're the British champion.
It would change boxing. It would change boxing in Great Britain, to be honest, because the last heavyweight we had, a proper heavyweight in the game, was Lennox Lewis. You know, Frank Bruno. You know, people used to come out and talk about Frank Bruno, Lennox Lewis, Mike Tyson. But now people don't talk about boxing no more. You know, the only person who talks about boxing, I think, is Steve, isn't it, Steve?
Yeah, it is me, Derek. You're right. I'm like wandering around like a lunatic on the streets.
Exactly. You know, and people don't talk about boxing no more. So I think if I win this, and then my fellow friendship don't go in retirement, David Hay, you know, me and David Hay could hold the heavyweight titles for the next couple of years to come.
So that means David might finally fight in Germany. He might have to fight you in Germany.
Listen, best of luck, Derek. Enjoy the build-up as well. Lovely to talk to you.
Thank you.
Excellent.
You know what's funny, Al, is that if you look back through history, there's been some absolutely dreadful challenges. People, you know, a lot of people are saying to me today at the conference, oh, he's one of the worst challenges ever. Well, I had a little look, and I'll be honest with you, he wouldn't even make my top 15 worst challenges. No, I really mean that. There was Joe Frazier, the great Joe Frazier, sandwiched between fighting Muhammad Ali and George Foreman. He fought 2 guys called Ron Stander and Terry Daniels, who were so hopeless it was unbelievable. The great Tommy Morrison, I used that fairly facetiously, he found an opponent once in the crowd. A guy called Tim Tomaszek, who then got knocked out for the 11th time in his career. But one of the worst was just a few years ago in Moscow, when a guy called Peter Okello, who's a Ugandan based in Japan, and no one even knows what this guy fights like, he lost over 12 rounds in a dreadful fight to a guy called Oleg Maskiev. So trust me, there are some absolute stinkers out there in history. And Derek, I'm not joking, I wouldn't put him in my top 25 undeserving or worst challenges, because you know what, he'll have some fun at it. Even if he gets beaten 4 rounds or if he wins in 6 rounds, he will have a go. And the guys that fight, the Vitaly and Vladimir Klitschko, Duke's nodding his head in agreement. They don't try.
They don't try.
I mean,
they don't try.
They're beat before they even get in there, most of them.
So is there a possibility, Duke, that Klitschko is being complacent? He's taking him too lightly?
He could quite easily overlook Chisora, quite easily, and Chisora does have a puncher's chance, if nothing else. Chisora had a really good fight in his last fight in beating Sam Sexton and beat the kid, you know,
Trenches Duke came back, didn't he, after a couple of hard rounds?
Yeah, he can dig in if he has to. But again, you know, there is a big gulf between domestic level and world level, and that's why, you know, the scales have to just be tipped in Klitschko's favour, because he has the experience at world level. He knows how to fiddle about, mess around, and he could take Chisora to somewhere he's never been. He could absolutely bore him to tears and then just land that big shot. He's a massive man.
Vladimir gets out the... See, what happens in Germany, where almost all of his fights happen, is that the crowd goes mild. They don't... If he knocks a guy out in 1 round, they go like that. If he goes 12 rounds, they go like that. Nothing changes, Ellis. So they're quite happy with him boxing from his back foot, 7 foot away for 11 rounds. They don't even scream or moan. We would scream the place down here. They don't there.